welcome to Silver Sunday on this Sunday, February the 20th. Hope you are all doing well tonight. We have a fun session planned for tonight. And we have with us a special guest. I'll introduce him a little bit, but we're down a few folks today. Tommy is, Roberta's taking care of personal business. Tommy is having fun at Pensacon, where we all wish we were. So we're hoping Tommy is selling lots and lots of books. But yeah, that's we're still gonna have fun tonight. We're still gonna do some geeky fun talking, and I feel like I feel like I need a word balloon over my head. I feel like I'm at the bottom of the panel, and I need a word balloon up here.
Oh, you are down there.
Yeah. But I have to keep doing that because my wife tells me, she says, you don't want people to see your messy floor. And so I cleaned up just a little bit, but I have comic books usually on the floor behind me. So, all right. So we're in for the fun night. I'm Roland Man. I am your host for tonight. I'm the chief cook and bottle washer at Silverline Comics, and I write a few books, including Cat and Mouse, Trumps, Bear, Silverline Team Up, and I wrangle cats, which might be interesting because tonight's pets, right? Curtis, tell everybody who you are.
Sure. Hi, I'm Curtis Fujita. I'm the creative director at Silverline Comics, and I'm also a martial arts instructor. And so my project for Silverline is the upcoming comic book called Shadow Ghost. It's the Kung Fu comic by a Kung Fu master. So that's me.
Which is still the best plug of any of our, or a pitch of any of our comics.
Pretty much.
Pete, tell folks who you are.
Just a penciler. Following you two, I just draw the books. That's all. I draw Silverline Team Up, Champion Miss Fury. I'm finishing issue 4 of Trumps. It'll be the end of the first story arc. Yep. I've drawn loads of other stuff, but that's what I'm doing for Silverline.
Excellent.
Nothing. I'm not a kung fu master.
No, you're not.
You can take my online course.
Nice work.
Thank you.
You too can, but you can one of those ads in the back of the comic books. Do you want to become a kung fu master?
That is the plan, actually.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later. I've thought about ads in our comics too, so that could be. I can see Curtis
Take
there.
This pill once every 4 days, and you will be a kung fu master.
You too can be a comic book master. Before I introduce our guest for tonight, shout out to our sponsor, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you have not made your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con in September, you should do so. If you watched the opening here, you saw that their logo there, and you should make plans. It is September. I don't remember the exact dates. I don't have one.
I have it. Hold on, I'll get it.
Look at that. He's got it right there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It is certainly, if you like comic
The
books.
10th and 11th.
September the 10th and 11th. There you go. Make plans to attend now. If you like comic books, Daytona Beach Comic Con is the place to be. Has new comics. He's very supportive of independent comics, and it has lots of old comics. In fact, I have been on record as saying before, a couple of years ago, I went to the Big Box Convention here in Orlando, and I also did Daytona Beach Comic Con that same year. There were more comic books at Daytona Beach than there were at the Big Box one. Now, you can see all kind of media people at that one, but, if you like comic books, Daytona Beach is the place to go.
Yeah.
We're being joined tonight by my pal, Martin Piero. Martin, I'm going to let him introduce himself more, but I would tell you, Martin runs the small press publishing company, Cosmic Times. I met Martin on the convention trail here in Florida, and we have palled around at a bunch of those shows, swapped indie comic publisher horror stories, cried on each other's shoulders, and just in general, swapped trenches like good old war buddies do on the trails. But Martin, tell folks who you are.
That really sums it up. Actually, the first time we met was at one of that big box convention you were talking about.
Really?
We were both commiserating on how what in the time we had at that show. Yeah, that would have been 2000. I want to say 17, maybe 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. You were on your comeback. You decided to get back into comics not too long before then, and we crossed paths at that show. I was hanging out with Barry, and then you walked up like, "Hey, you know Roland?" "No, I don't know Roland," and that's how we met. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, because I don't remember seeing Cosmic Times booth at that show. I remember seeing it later.
It was the first year that show got taken over by another company. We won't say names. And I had purchased a corner booth thinking I was going to be big shot. And and I got there and they only had one table for the corner. I'm like, that's not really a corner. That's really just an inline booth on the end. Yeah, that's not really a corner. So yeah, that was my first disillusionment with that.
I do remember that. You faced the artist row, right?
Yeah.
I do remember that then. Okay.
Yeah, there was a big thing. Why am I paying extra when I'm just like a table that's right across from me in the artist alley? But anyways, that's more of those horror stories.
So that's the one we first met, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And so as you were saying, I run Cosmic Times. I started it in 2008, launched in 2009 at that same big box show in Orlando. I started out as just a self-publishing thing. I just had this creative juices I wanted to get out. I had worked in television, film, and on stage and all kinds of things before, but I was doing IT at that time. Needed to get a creative outlet, so I put out a comic, and it sold out we'll say MegaCon. It sold out, and I felt so good about it. I decided to start developing it as a business, and realized I had to scale up because putting out one book a year wasn't going to generate enough revenue to keep going. So that's when I made the shift and kind of just became a publisher. Started picking up a lot of other books. Went national in 2015 with Diamond. That's a horror story into itself. Not that I have anything bad to say about Diamond, but just the rigors of being involved with that. And I've been going ever since. I'm kind of Roland 2.0. I'm coming up in the shadow of what Roland Man did with, I guess Silverline, but Malibu back in the day. So, but I do have questions for Curtis sometime during the show. If
okay, sure, we'll get there. Let's drill into Cosmic Times a little bit before we get there. So because you've been doing this a few years now, what would you say? What's been a highlight for you?
So many. There's been a lot of highlights to keep me going.
Aside from, of course, meeting me and Silverline.
Well, I was about to say the legendary meeting of Roland Man that he doesn't even remember, but but of course I do.
I do remember you from that show.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the last time I did MegaCon or the big box show for a while. We just started doing it again, I think, together last year. Yeah. One of the highlights, I'll tell you, I'm a weird guy. I'm a bad businessman. I get into this for the wrong reasons. I have stories I want to tell. That's kind of why I do what I do. So it's not a revenue generator. And one of the best things, I have a friend I used to work with at the law firm years ago, and when she was visiting Florida, and I gave her kid a copy of Good, the Bad, and the Prehistoric. It's our dinosaurs and cowboy book. It's our all ages book. And she's in third grade, and my friend sent me video of her just sitting there reading it out loud, doing all the voices and enjoying what we had published. And that was one of the most recent highlights I've had lately. Was just in that video and saying, well, I guess we did something right. Yeah. All this money and time was worth something.
Yeah. Martin, we don't get that. We have to do our own voices on Silverline.
Are we going to do a live reading tonight? No, I got Cat and Mouse here if you want to.
Look at that. You went to the archives for that one.
I picked up at a show. I told you it was a show just before Olo. I picked this up, and I need to get you to sign it with all my other. I have my Roland Man collection here. I got it going on. I'm going to have the largest collection of autographed Roland Man comics ever.
You're the guy that buys the books.
I'm the guy.
We found him.
That cat and mouse that you had, I think that was issue number 8. That's probably
good eye. That was issue number 8. Yeah,
that's one of my favorite covers from the entire
What's
run.
on the back of this, though? Good
that's not mine. I didn't do that.
He says that about every issue that comes out, though.
Yeah, they're all his favorite, right?
Yeah.
This is what I had forgotten. Cat and Mouse was black and white until I picked this up.
Yeah. We had the mystery, not the mystery. We had the first issue that was printed by a different publisher, and it was in color. And they lost a lot of money doing it. And
I can relate to that.
Yeah, yeah. So we took those. He shipped us a big box after he went out of business. He said, here's a bunch of my back stock. We got 300, 400, 500 copies, something like that. Yeah, because he called it quits, but he had a huge box of them, so he sent them to us, and we just packaged those up along with photocopies and sent them out to a bunch of publishers. So said, hey, our first issue's done, but we've already got like the next 3 issues finished. We need a home, and so we sent them a copy of the published first issue that was in color. Couldn't get anybody interested in color, so because it was just too expensive back then.
Sure.
But
it's not cheap now.
Yeah, no. But we had that shirt actually became that cover actually became a shirt. We did 2 Cat Mouse shirts during the life of that first run.
With the background, or you just separated the characters? I mean, did the whole background as a shirt, or just had the characters separated?
I can't
because they could easily be cut right out of that.
Yeah. No, I think that's one of the reasons because I can't remember now. I think the background might have been on it. I can't remember. And then of course the other one was the famous one where Cat's standing there like this and Mouse is leaning up against him.
What issue is that? I got to get that.
That is from that's from the collection, the first collection. Is it?
I don't know. They were black and white until 2 weeks ago. Well.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. We went through a handful of inkers. Mitch didn't like most of them, but we went through a handful of inkers. And that issue 8 is my favorite run on the series is probably 8 through 12. And we had Ken Branch inking those, and they looked really good. And
it says Carl's Story on this one.
Yep, Carl's Story inked number 8, and then Ken picked up. You can't tell much difference between Carl and Ken. Carl went on to do all kinds of work for Dark Horse.
Okay.
But then Ken came along and inked those for 4 issues, 9, 10, 11, 12, 4 issues. They look great. He might have inked 15 too, and of course Tommy came on later. But anyway, before I ask you the next question, we got a couple comments here. Bobby Wesker says, "Hello, Big Dummy. What's up, Screw Loose?" Okay. And he says, "Share you on Facebook at home. Thank you so very much. We appreciate you sharing and always coming on here and showing us love." Heidi says it's a good cover. Oh, then she said, "I'd wear that shirt." Well, you know what? We might have to do that again.
There you go.
Call it our remix T-shirts, right, Curtis?
Yeah.
Put that on the list.
So that's your highlight, Martin. What about any low lights you can talk about?
This is a story I tell a lot, so I'll tell it one more time. I think the biggest letdown and the biggest failure of my run in making comics over this last 13 years, and I say this all the time, it's success. Once I got into Diamond, well, that's, when I started off, that was the brass ring. If you get into Diamond, that is the brass ring. You've made it. Right. And I got into Diamond, and I give this advice to you. I give this advice to everybody. Second Sight guys, I wasn't prepared for the amount of work and the amount of money it takes to be successful. You think, well, I'm successful, everything will be easy now. Everything got 1,000 times harder. It was just a steamroller that just rolled over me. I couldn't keep up. I couldn't handle it. I went in huge debt on it. Yeah. The advice I give anybody going into Diamond, I gave it to you last week or 2 weeks ago, and I gave it to the Second Sight guys. If you can't put your hands on $20,000 cash, you can't do it. Because I was telling you, I'm already down almost $6,000, and I only have 2 books out.
Yeah.
Because I have yet to get paid for that first one from Diamond.
And see, I remember.
Where does all the money go, though?
Sorry? What was that?
So where does all the money go?
Printing. Well, this time I didn't even do the promotion, which the last time was printing and shipping, because I wasn't prepared. I was prepared. I spent November and December getting ready for this January launch, only to discover that there was a national paper shortage and everything's more expensive now. So all the budget I had worked out, because I'd worked out that I could get 500 orders and still break even. But at my first issue for From Blood was just over 1,000. I thought, I don't mind. Yeah. And to get that printed cost me pretty much exactly what I'm going to make from Diamond, because I had to print it out of Canada because no American printers could do it. Even though they told me they're actually printing out of Philadelphia, but they own the plant there. And then when it came to the second issue, because here, I'll reveal all the secrets. There's a rule of attrition with Diamond. Whatever your first issue is, it is almost guaranteed that your second issue is going to be half the orders.
Half that, yeah.
So if you have 1,000,
that's a long time rule, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
and the third issue will be 30% of the first issue, and so forth. So that's why I don't believe in going too far past the 3-issue miniseries. Maybe 4 issues tops. Because by the time you get to issue 8, you're just burning money. So with the rise in cost, this for the issue 2 of From Blood, I'm actually losing 21 cents for every issue I'm selling through Diamond. Because Diamond only pays Diamond wants a 60% discount. They only pay 40% of cover price, and it's how it is.
And this is one of the reasons that when people don't understand, this is one of the reasons cover prices keep going up because
I decided from now on it's $4.99. I can't do $3.99 anymore.
Yeah.
And I hate it because I'm a comic buyer and I hate $5 comics. But what am I going to do?
Yeah. Well, and this is one of the reasons. Of course, I remember a lot of this, from the '90s. But this is one of the reasons that I really kind of keep delaying is because it's like we're just because people keep saying, "Hey, why aren't you in Diamond yet? Why aren't you in Diamond yet?" I'm like, you know what? I just number one, I don't have that time yet, and I don't have those resources yet. Mm-hmm. So we're getting close, but I don't want to. I don't want to do anything before we're not ready.
But that goes to anything in this business. I think you hear a lot of people complain about Kickstarter. Oh, the price. Why are you charging $8 for comics? Are not cheap to make.
No, they're not.
Nobody goes, why are you charging $20 for a DVD? Because movies cost a lot of money to make, and they sell a lot more than we do.
I can buy a blank DVD for $1, or at least I used to.
Yeah. I think it's a dead media at this point. Yeah. But that's the thing. Everything costs money and it accumulates. I was on a panel. I'm sorry, we're getting off topic here, but I was on a panel this weekend in Miami, and we were talking to a bunch of guys who I want to get into comics. I know you don't, trust me. And they were talking about we were talking about the startup costs and paying your artist. And no offense to the artist on the panel, but I know you guys are very much involved in Silverline. There's this sense that artists really need to get paid for their time and their effort. Again, no offense to the artists, need to get paid for their time and effort. They spend so much time, they spend so much of their hard-earned resources making these comics, and everybody should get paid. But no one really thinks that the writer, who's actually is also the publisher, is spending about 80 more hours than you are on every page you work on, trying to get it promoted, trying to get it published. I mean, 100% more hours, whatever.
Well, there's also the case. Because not all writers are publishers. I mean, there are a lot of cases where writers do publish themselves. Too, yeah. I mean, how many? Just look around independent comics, and how many of them? Look at all the. Let's Alterna for one. Alterna does a lot of stuff. Peter Zametti doesn't write all those books. Lot of different.
I don't write all my books either, so.
Well, I don't write all my books either. All the Silverline books. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. I mean, in a perfect world, everybody gets paid lots of money,
right?
But unfortunately, we've all chosen to do this thing that we love, because we love it, not because we're here for the money. Except for Pete,
right? Well, there's nothing wrong. I believe everybody should get paid. I'm a capitalist. Everybody needs to get paid for their time. I believe that. It's just that there's a sense, though, that the publisher or the writer, whoever's putting out the money, should put out more money but they're still.
People think publishers make a lot of money.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things I learned. Well, when I started doing them as a publisher in the '90s, that's one of the things that I learned is people thought that I was making a lot of money, and I'm like, well, where do you think I'm making this money from? Right. I don't know I don't know where that came from, and I get that there's companies like Marvel and DC who for years have screwed over creatives of all sorts. When they made lots and lots of money, and their creators didn't share in that. So I get that, but I think once you step away from the big two, it's a completely different story. Look, I've heard stories. At one point in time, I used to always tell people Image had the best deal around. If you wanted to work in independent comics, Image had the best deal around for an independent creator, because at one point in time they were 90-10. The creators at one point, that's not that way anymore.
No, I was going to say I've heard stories. So.
No. But at one point in time they were 90-10, and then it changed to so 90-10, meaning the creator got 90% of the proceeds, and Image got 10%. And then I think they did some comics that didn't cover their base, their funds, and so they said, okay, now we're going to change it to a flat fee. And Image was like, okay, we're going to take, I want to say it was like $1,000 off the top, but we're going to take $1,000 off the top, and that covers, everything that we need. And then the creators get everything else. Well, the rest of this is all rolling conjecture. Okay.
I know a little bit more about this, but go ahead.
That $1,000 has gone up to, the last I heard, it was about $2,400.
Yep.
They take $2,400 now, and then the creators get the rest.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my.
No. Wait. You have to pay them to be published. I worked with a guy who wanted me to publish his book about 6 years ago. It was called Star Mage. It was a cross between Star Wars and Harry Potter, which actually did the same story. And he came, he brought the book to me, and we worked on a deal, and he said, no, I think I'm gonna go to Image. I have to give them $2,000 up front for them to publish my book.
Really?
Yeah, to be sure that print cost gets covered. Then they make money after that. And that was 6 years ago. And I was like, are you an idiot? You're never going to get that back. Independent comics don't make that,
I mean, from Image's point of view, I can understand why they want.
Oh, sure, yeah. I think they got burnt.
It's just so expensive. Unfortunately, comics don't generate a lot of money. That's the problem.
Right. No. Especially totally unknown. You pay.
I totally get it from Image's point of view.
And again, Image also pays to be in the catalog. They pay a lot of money to get that front of the catalog, to get those full page ads. And this guy got a nice full page ad, which alone is $1,500 in the Diamond catalog. Or actually, I think it's more than that now. Wow. So again, that's where all the money goes. It's a vacuum of money. I look at my accounting every month, like, where is the money going?
Yeah.
I have nothing to show for it. Actually, that's not true. I just got my for issue 2 of From Blood, I had to order 1,000 copies to even get the cost. And I'm looking at like 400 copies of the book sitting right over there at my office now. That's never going to sell. I'm like, next winter, that's going in the fire pit.
Those become add-ons, and
that's the thing. I am going to do a Kickstarter for a box set of it when it's done, but that's down the road. I don't know. See, now we're getting negative. We shouldn't be negative. We should be positive.
Oh shoot, I had another question I was going to ask right there. My theory though. My theory is this. So part of the change came about when a certain book called The Walking Dead hit.
Oh, sure.
And what happened, and this is all theory. I have no proof behind any of this, but if you look at the timeline, this is what I believe, and until you prove me different, that's what I'm going to continue to believe. I think what happened is Robert Kirkman came along and said, hey, look, I am funding your company because you're taking this huge chunk of my book, and I'm selling 60,000 copies in black and white.
Yeah.
So he was making a ton of money on that book, right? But none of the other books were, right? And that was the problem. None of the other books were. So he said, I am funding the company, and that's not right. And so I think that's probably when the rule changed to the flat fee. They're like, you're right. We're just going to take a flat fee from everybody, and then that way it's on you to sell more. And that is what I think is the Robert Kirkman effect on the way Image changed. Again, I have no proof of this. I have no one's ever told me this, but I looked at the timeline and when a lot of this kind of stuff happened, and I'm like, okay, Robert Kirkman is now a partner.
Sure.
He's not one of the founders, but he's a partner now. So it just all makes sense. Again, I don't know that that's any truth in that or not, but it sure makes sense. So
he's got that whole. What is it? Skybound? Is that his sub brand for Image Comics?
Yeah. So Martin, if you could sum up, if you could tell someone what is Cosmic Times, what would you tell them?
Cosmic Times is an independent comic book publisher, just like Silverline. Well, not just like, obviously we have our differences. It actually, a funny thing about real quick, the name actually came from a fanzine I used to publish back in the 80s, back probably when you were just getting started in actually probably before you were even starting in comics. When I was 14, I used to publish a fanzine. We called it Cosmic Times. So I didn't have a name to come up with when I started publishing my own stuff, so we just called it Cosmic Times. The initial idea, like I said, was just to publish my own stories. Mm-hmm. And then we started picking up other people's books. I always feel that, in my opinion, because I'm a writer, and stories should always come first. So my thing is high concept, well-written stories first, and then let all the pieces fall underneath that. So that's kind of how I approach things. For a while there, I got a little off track when we were dealing with the Diamond thing. Published some stuff that maybe wasn't quite in my wheelhouse. Trying to get back to recreating that Cosmic Times wheelhouse of just a few IPs to keep working at a time, and then introducing a new IP as another one maybe falls off, so I don't flood my customers with constant. But we had, when I started the company, I think it was Twilight was very popular. Walking Dead was very popular. So we had 3 rules: no superheroes, no vampires, and no zombies. I've still stuck to that. We've yet to publish a superhero book, yet to publish a book with zombies, and definitely haven't touched vampires, because they were seen to be at that time. The market was just oversaturated with all that stuff, and zombies it still is.
So for genre, would you say Cosmic Times is a cosmic company?
That's
pretty much.
That's the initial thought, because cosmic denotes outer space, and I've actually been working on a book that finally gets. We've only ever published one book that was actually set in space, which is kind of weird. Everything's been on Earth. But it's always that kind of. I mean, comics in general, even superheroes is science fiction. Everything we do kind of has a science fiction bent to it. Like even Steam Patriots it's science fiction to a point, historical science fiction, I guess you would call it. That's kind of. I don't know. I've been stuck with the name because I've had it since, the Times actually was from the New York Times. And that sort of thing. Yeah. And here's a funny story too. I came up with Cosmic Times back in 84, I think, whatever, just before Crisis, around Secret War, just before Secret Wars. So 85 maybe. And in the interim of doing Cosmic Times back then and then doing it now, Cosmic Time has actually become a thing. Cosmic Time is what NASA uses to measure the entire existence of the universe. From the beginning of the universe to now, they call Cosmic Time. So when I do a Google, it's either me or NASA is what comes up. So I was surprised. I was Googling myself when I was building the website, like, what is this? And so Cosmic. So I don't know. So we're just universal, man. We're just
man. That's not a bad Google list to come up on.
Yeah.
So I think
number 3 after NASA.
So there's another Silverline out there, and I think they make tubing.
Dude, sponsor. Get them as a sponsor.
Curtis, you want to share art?
Let me. I was trying. I think I'm having a hard time on my end too.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's all right. I know. I saw you pop up earlier, and then it went away. So I'm like, oh well, I gotta ask him now.
Yeah, I was trying. Sorry, I couldn't get to work.
Can I ask Curtis a quick question?
Yes, you can ask Curtis a question.
What martial arts do you practice?
So, I practice. It's a
street fighting. Just out on the street. He just walks down the street and says "you," and then punches him. And then
exactly. Actually, it's just more like a block. It's like a single block where I feel.
He really likes the young kids because they can't fight back.
There you go.
Exactly. It's like right at the amusement park. You have to be this high, this tall, and I'm not that tall, so it's a good deal. No, I practice kung fu, but then of course within kung fu there's hundreds of different styles. So the core style that I practice is called Hongga, which is it's like a style from the south of China. So that's the main style that I do. Yeah.
Oh, I for about 5 years I did martial arts. I was, as an adult, I was really into it. And Goju karate is what we did.
Oh, great.
And it was just kind of violent, when it comes down to it. But I think I actually was doing that when I launched Cosmic Times as a comic book publisher, and I really think that helped me. And I kind of think I need to get back to something like that, some kind of that discipline of it was like twice a week we did it. It wasn't like my whole life, but it was a major part of my life. And I think that discipline and that just focus that I got from it, and of course I felt healthier. That wasn't, you can't see below here. It's like out to here. It really helped me have the fortitude to push through when I launched the company. And so I really respect martial arts and what it can do beyond just I can go into a bar and start some trouble.
Yeah. That's always like the significance, and I always talk to my students about that. Because nowadays we're in an age where everybody goes, well, can I use it for fighting? And it's important that you have something that you can use for fighting, but what are you going to do the other 364 days a year or whatever, right? If you're a grown responsible adult, you're not getting in fights. So
because you can land you in jail.
Yeah. The real fight is like the conflict and the difficulties that you encounter in life. So you find a martial art that enhances your life, that gives you a life worth defending. So by the time you have to defend it, those two things kind of, you're ready,
I agree with that. Yeah.
And the funniest thing is the better you get at it, the less reason you have to get in a fight. A lot of times people get in physical conflict is because they're unsure of themselves. But if you know the outcome, or you're fairly confident in the outcome, there's no need, right? It's just a formality, So
sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's a confidence for sure too.
I said that's very Jackie Chan of him.
Oh, I try.
I think I've told Curtis's story before, but when I was in college, I knew I befriended a lot of Japanese students who were at the university at the time, which is where a lot of the Japanese stuff comes from in the first run of Cat and Mouse. And one of them was a kung fu. I apologize, I don't remember his particular family of kung fu, but he was a kung fu teacher. And one of the things he wanted to do when he left the States was he wanted to go back and start his own dojo. I remember that very specifically. And he used to give demonstrations on campus a lot. And I still remember one time. I know I've told Curtis this story. He was given it was an international week. I forget exactly what it was, but he was doing a demonstration and he got a Louisville Slugger, one of the hardest bats made. And he went to break it with a kick, right? But the kick was with his shin. And he went out on the first time and he kicked it and it didn't break, right? And he backed up and he did it again. The second time he kicked it and broke. I saw him like 2 days later and I said something, in the dorms, which is where we lived. And I said, man, I saw that, blah, blah, blah. I said, man, that was pretty awesome. He rolled his pants leg up and he had this bruise on his leg that was this big. And I'm like, I didn't think you were supposed to bruise.
So many of the things are when you see those kind of demonstrations, they're part skill, they're part stage magician, really is what it is. And so it's leveraged. So like I saw one where this one guy would bend a steel bar, he would hit it with his forearm, right? But he didn't understand physics. So normally he would put it between like two chairs on a hardwood floor and he could hit it and it would bend.
Balance.
The problem is at that demonstration, they had a foam floor puzzle mats, right? So the puzzle mat absorbs the force.
Right.
So he had the two chairs there and the iron bar and he kept hammering it. But because it was a foam flooring, it kept absorbing the impact and he didn't understand the concept of what was going on. And this poor guy just kept going and you're just like, oh, that's not going to work well for you.
Did you want to yell, stop, please stop?
No, I'll tell you, martial arts, you have to be a little sadistic and, to go through the training and all that. And so you have a kind of a sixth sense of humor. So one of the things we did once at my teacher's school was, my teacher was out of town and that's always when bad things happen because the students are running the show. And this guy came in and obviously he had some mental issues, but he was saying he did some style called Gold Dragon, which was a made up style. And we said, where did you learn it? And he said, I learned it from a videotape by Bruce Lee. And so we knew this guy was crazy. And he kept saying, I'm here to beat all the masters in Chinatown. And so we knew a guy who was actually Bruce Lee's classmate, who was a really mean teacher on the other side of town that was notorious for taking his students to bars and field testing, as he said, and he was a really tough guy and he would beat up people and all stuff. So we sent him to that guy and we said, well, this guy was Bruce Lee's classmate. You should go and tell him that you learned from him on a videotape and that you're going to beat up all the masters in Chinatown. And we sent him that way. So who knows?
Yeah, I would have followed him. I would have wanted to know.
Yeah.
You're talking about the fighting though. I can remember the one piece of advice this guy gave me. Because I asked him. I said, so how many fights have you been in? And he said 0. I'm like, what? How have you not been in any fights? And he says, I haven't been in any fights. And I said, so what do you do if somebody comes up? He goes, I run away. Yeah. I'm like, wait, what? He goes, I don't want to get in a fight.
Since taking, I did this back in my early 30s. I never had to use it, not once. Yeah. I've threatened my daughter's boyfriends with it, but I've never. My scream is out like, "Hey, what do you think?" But I've never had to use it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump on to tonight's topic. Tonight's topic, we are going to talk about comic book pets. I think we broadcasted as the best and the worst, or what role do they serve, or something like that. But I figure we'll just kind of talk about comic book pets in general. I don't know that this is something that people think about very often, but if you were to,
it's fallen out of fashion a little bit in comics.
Well,
we don't have as many.
So do you think it's because of the super pets, because of all the DC stuff from the 1950s, crypto?
Well, I think a lot of that's been kind of regulated to all ages, where I don't think it should be. I mean, I think it's, especially with DC, it's always kind of been part of their mythos. You know?
Do you have a pet?
They're goofy.
Yes, they are.
Oh,
goofy.
super goofy.
That said, you probably have you read the latest Supergirl from Tom King?
Mm-mm.
Well, does she have a horse? Because she used to have a horse.
She's off in space. But anyway, so it starts with someone shoots Crypto, and because they're under a red sun, they have no power. So she goes off on a mission of vengeance, basically.
Wait, Crypto's dead?
He's been poisoned by this bullet or something.
Oh, okay.
So, but I thought, that's quite a good motivator.
Sure.
Yeah.
People can relate to that. If something happens to your pet, you want to go off and do something about it.
Well, that's always in the movies. If you want to show the bad guy being bad, he kills a dog or something.
Right.
You know?
Well,
yeah, there you go.
There was a whole screenwriting book called Save the Cat. You guys heard of that? Yeah. Oh, it's called Save the Cat, and it's like it's from Aliens, right? Where she goes back in.
Oh, that's true. First Alien,
save the cat, right?
Right?
And that shows that she's a good person.
Yes.
Right? She did all this. She was doing all this other stuff, and to make her likable, they sent her back in to save the cat. And so there's this whole screenwriting book called Save the Cat. It used to be part of our program. I don't know if it still is or not. I don't teach it, so I don't know if that's part of the program anymore.
I think there's always been a thing. If you're good, if animals like you, that means you're a good person, sort of thing.
Yeah. So most famous comic book pet, Pete. What do you think?
It's gonna be Crypto Superdog.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis is shaking his head. Martin saying
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least
I
I'm
have to
for
agree.
DC. Yeah.
I have to agree too. I think
I
the
don't think
most.
Spider-Ham counts as a pet.
No.
I don't think it was a pet. Yeah.
It's like Howard the Duck. They're kind of in that same category.
Yeah, and I think some. Yeah, Crypto was he was a pet. He was Superman's pet, right?
Batman's got Ace. Is it Ace?
Ace, like what is he? He's a big black dog, right? What is it, Great Dane or something?
A Bloodhound or something, isn't
he? The what about Marvel though? What is Lockjaw considered a pet?
Yeah. He's the Inhuman's pet.
No, he's an Inhuman, isn't it? I thought he got turned. Was he turned into the dog? I can't remember. I don't remember.
I don't know. Oh my gosh,
No.
the Inhumans are so outside of my realm.
Unless this is new information.
No, I don't know.
No. Lockjaw was always the pet, the family pet. He just had the ability to teleport.
Oh, I think it's strange that he's the only dog in all the Inhumans. There's only one pet. You think there'll be others?
Yeah.
But what's the point of having others when your main pet can teleport?
So everyone ignores us because he can teleport.
Imagine being the cat of the house, right?
No one wants a pet that can't teleport.
The cat feels left out.
Yeah.
And also, in pets, is Lockheed from the X-Men a pet, or is he just a member of the team?
Oh, that's Kitty Pryde's pet.
He's a pet. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say he's a pet. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's a dragon, but
so those are the ones I was like, are they really pets? Because they're kind of part of the lineup in the team,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, okay. Go ahead, Curtis.
No, I mean, I think, isn't it? I mean, other than a lot of the time, the pet usually is associated with like the sidekick or a younger character, not Crypto per se, but a lot of the times, right?
Right.
So I think that also kind of. It's kind of that a little bit, I guess, say outdated kind of thing with the sidekick, with the pets, that kind of stuff. I think maybe the general vibe. But
well, almost in general, I think sidekicks in general. I mean, with the exception of Robin, does anybody have a sidekick anymore?
No.
And it's his son now. It's not even like he chose to have a sidekick. He's kind of stuck with him.
Yeah, no, that's true.
What we should do. We should come up with a book with a sidekick, shouldn't we?
That's been done.
It's been done. Are sidekicks pets?
And they call it Robin. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with crypto being, the most, when you think of super pet, that's the first thing that comes to your mind.
Yeah. Well, then I didn't say super pet. It's
Well,
just
pet
comic
too.
book pet. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
Are there
So
characters that have pets that aren't superheroes? Okay.
yeah. Because I think super pets, boy, that would limit it.
That's what I was thinking the whole time with super pets.
Yeah,
like
no, just
superheroes
comic
with
book
pets.
So if we're going to do super pets, though, I can think of one that. No, go ahead, Pete.
Squirrel Girl. Surely all those squirrels are pets.
That's a more modern version.
Pets, the wild squirrels.
I would say it's almost like that's a gag as opposed to being, this kind of like, hey, Squirrel's funny or Squirrel's funny. She's got squirrels.
Yeah. I would say that they're more wild because you got to keep them for pets, right? I mean, it's like saying Cinderella's the robins or birds around her were her pets.
Well, what are the horses then? Because everyone in the world, in comic books, anyone who has a horse has a horse. Conan has a horse.
Sure.
Wonder Woman has a horse.
Supergirl has a
horse fly.
Yeah.
Pegasus. Valkyrie has Pegasus.
Can you count him as a pet?
I can see that.
How far do you go with sentience? Beyond, is it the mentality of a pet versus a full thinking, full fleshed out character?
I would say Pegasus would be a pet.
Okay. I guess if the person has to feed it and brush it, it's a pet. Yeah.
Interesting. Villains. The only pet that I can think of a villain would be like in Watchmen. The one that Ozymandias
he does. He has Bubastis.
Bubastis, right? But I can't think of too many other villains that had pets.
I'm trying to think back in the DC in the 50s. Did like Lex have a pet? Did the villains have pets? I don't think so.
I haven't exhausted heroes.
You know what? Wasn't there the Red Lanterns? Isn't there a cat in the Red Lanterns?
Oh, there is. You're right. Yeah.
Like vomits blood or something.
I'm not sure it counts as a pet though, does it?
Oh yeah, it's killing things on its own.
Because it's on its own, so I'm going to kill you, not being told to kill you.
True. See what you miss when you don't read modern comics, Roland?
Yeah. I do read modern comics. They just don't. They're not corporate owned.
Okay.
I read yours are modern, right?
Sure. I don't have any pets in mine. I don't have any pets. I don't think I've had a single pet.
It's the most obvious one. Bat cow.
Yes, I saw that in my research. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah. I drew a picture of Bat Cow. Of course.
Really?
You drew a picture of Bat Cow?
Yeah.
Someone asked for a commission of a Bat Cow?
No. I drew it when I was at school. I did Robin and Bat Cow. And I made prints out of it.
No way!
I'll see if I can find it for you. And I'll show you.
He first appeared in Batman Incorporated in 2012. I thought he was an older creation. Wow. Okay.
Anywhere. Oh, that's funny.
Bat Cow. Oh, right there.
So I had 6 on my list, and we've mentioned 2 of them.
Really?
Yes.
Well, what do you have after crypto?
Well, actually, crypto wasn't on my list. I didn't put crypto on my list because I'm like, everybody else is going to mention crypto, so I'm, I'll leave it off. All right, what was Pete here? He's Pete sharing here.
Nice.
That's great, Pete.
I love it. I love how you bring the title too. It's like an actual proper cover.
Yeah, it is.
But that was the idea. I did put some logo on it. I don't know if I've still got. Oh, I have done it. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, that's awesome.
According to what I'm reading here on whatever DC Comics Wikipedia, she still lives in the barn in Wayne Manor. She can still have her own series, man.
Oh, that's crazy.
So I remember you mentioned Marvel. I remember Marvel had that Super Pets thing that was led by Lockjaw, and oh yeah, there you go. There's with the logo.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
You called DC now because that pitched.
Yeah. She said Bat Cow and Robin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I stumbled in doing research for this. I stumbled upon Batmite. Y'all remember Batmite?
Yeah.
But that's not a pet, obviously. That was my first thought was, okay, he's not really a pet.
Batmite was kind of the Mixoplex for Batman, right? I mean, it was like his kind of like little.
Yeah. So I'll first mention the ones that I wasn't too familiar with. Speedball. Do y'all remember the character Speedball?
Oh, yeah, Speedball. One of my favorites.
Well, then you should have thought of this, Curtis. Speedball apparently had a pet cat named Hairball.
Oh, really? I don't even remember that. I just remember Speedball. I liked the character. It's cool.
I will complete transparency. I never read the book, but I know I'm aware of it, and I flipped through it. I think I remember Fabian Nicieza wrote it, didn't he?
Well, I know Dicto. Didn't Dicto create the character? Or
Yeah. It was like one of his later things, and it was cool seeing this. It was like in the mid '90s or early '90s.
Whenever
didn't Speedball kick off Marvel's Civil War when the New Warriors blew up that town?
That's right.
Speedball?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's why I think Fabian wrote it, because Fabian was writing a lot of the New Warriors at the time. So I think Speedball was written by him. I'm not sure about that, but we should see if we can get Fabian on here.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So I guess no one knew about Speedball's pet cat, huh? So what about this one? Kazar.
Oh, his big saber-tooth thing.
Zebu.
Yeah.
He's got a big pet cat, Zebu, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Kicking himself. He's like, I should have thought about that. Yeah. I mean that's you can't miss him. I mean, he's on the cover with him most of the times.
Oh, sure. Is he still in? I was about to ask you guys if you know he's still in the comics, but I don't know, because I know there's a new Kazar series out.
There is, yeah.
I'm not keeping up with it.
I didn't pick that one up. It's
the last.
Yeah.
Who's doing it? You remember?
No.
I can look it up, but I
was gonna say the last Kazar I remember was done by Brent Anderson. Man, it was a beautiful book.
Right.
Yeah, gorgeous. You can probably find them in the 50-cent boxes. So if you can beat that artwork by Brent Anderson, really, really good. You'd really like that. This one's like a super, super popular one, and everyone should have gotten this one, right? But probably the reason we didn't get it is because of the movies has been changed a little bit.
Red Wing.
Oh yeah, Falcon. Yeah,
Falcon.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Red Wing.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Now
And
he's a
in the
robot.
movies, it's an electronic thing, right? Which I don't like. I get that it's a little easier for them to do, and probably you didn't have to worry about birds and bird training, and it makes him look a little more techie. But I prefer the bird.
Yeah.
I always loved Red Wing and Falcon. In fact, I had the little figures. I don't even remember the size, but Falcon would hold the Falcon on. He had those old figures that had little holes in their hands, so you could put the attachments. You could put Falcon, and he would sit there and hold his bird Falcon.
Oh, that's cool.
Is this the Mego line you're talking about?
I think it was Mego. Yeah, I think. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a big toy person, so I don't know. I had toys when at Malibu. Do you remember the toys that I had on my desk at Malibu?
I do. I remember some of them. Yeah.
So I never had very many. I think I had Spidey and Doc Ock.
Yeah.
And I had the rest of them that was on my shelf were all Ultraverse toys.
Yeah. I still remember when we got the prototypes. Funny seeing prototype, but the prototype for the Ultraverse toys. I remember one of the editors had it on his desk, and he came back the next day, and let's just put it this way: people took artistic license with the positioning of said. They were never on that person's desk again until the actual toy line got released.
Yeah. The things that happened in the office.
And not to be too descriptive, but Hardcase did have a ponytail, so that's all I'm going to say.
Well, so since you mentioned the Red Wing in the movie, I can't think of a single live action adaptation of a comic where they brought the pet over, with the exception of the robot Red Wing. Can you think of anything?
No.
I mean, the 4 Superman movies that were good. I don't think there was no Crypto, obviously.
Yeah, no Crypto there.
Maybe the Superboy TV show did it, but I don't remember.
A dog turned up in Smallville.
Oh, they did?
I remember that.
It wasn't a super dog. It was a white Labrador that he rescued and kept. It wasn't Crypto. I think they steer away from the animals, don't they? Because it suddenly becomes just a little bit.
It can't be.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember them not saying, because we love Smallville. they didn't say it, but they strongly insinuated, look, this is actually crypto.
Yeah.
You know,
it becomes a bit Lassie Come Home. The dog running around saving things. Like, oh, come on now. Come on. Quick, Superman, there's a boy stuck down the well. Joe, lead the way. Yeah.
So would Rocket Raccoon be the closest to a pet in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Well, but he's not a pet. He's just
I know, but they kind of
character.
Trying to come up with something.
You've seen Dr. Horrible, haven't you?
I've never seen Dr. I haven't. No.
So, come on, Martin. You haven't seen Dr. Horrible? I'll send you a link after the show.
Dude, I'm not a Josh Whedon fan. I know,
this is funny though. This is funny.
I love Firefly, but I could never get into Buffy.
You don't have to be a Josh Whedon fan. I'm a Nathan Fillion fan, and he is fantastic in this. So one of his lines in the song is he's talking to homeless people. And he says something. He's singing a song. He said, something about begging. He said something begging. He goes, but you know who does that? Lassie. And she always gets a treat.
Fair enough.
It's great. Whenever I have a free 45 minutes in my class at school, I show that to them in the first day or so. Just because of the story structure in it is just fantastic. But still, it's some really funny stuff. So I have not seen Why the Last Man on television. Have y'all?
No.
Yes.
You
of
have.
course. Yes, he's Monkey. Yeah.
Yeah. So it ampersand, right?
Yes.
So is ampersand in the TV show?
Yes.
Okay. So
yeah, I think for them to cut him out of the TV show it wouldn't be the comic book.
No,
he's too integral to the comic. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but he is. Yes, I didn't stick with the TV show.
Is it good?
I don't think a lot of people did. That's why it didn't come back.
I feel it just was. It's slow. Yeah, but the comic wasn't exactly rapid.
No, it wasn't. No.
But it was. It felt slow. I don't know what it was actually. I just thought, I'll go back to it, and never did.
Never did.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed the comic.
The comic was amazing.
Yeah, but I have not seen the TV show. But I remember, I can't remember what kind of monkey he is, but he talks about it. He tells what kind of monkey it is in the book, but I can't remember what it is. I just remember the name Ampersand. I love the name. That was a great name for a monkey. So I wrote a book that had a pet in it, a comic.
Do I own it? Let me see here.
I don't know if you own it or not. We talked about it, but Martin, you and I have talked about it. Curtis is. I see the wheels.
I know. I'm trying.
Is this the one with
Curtis is listening off the top. Okay, Roland wrote that. He wrote that. He wrote that. He wrote that.
Is this the Walter Koenig book or?
No, I didn't write that one. No, Walter Koenig wrote
that.
You
just Koenig.
He wrote.
We talked extensively about that. That's right.
Yeah, we have. Any ideas, Curtis?
I can't remember if
it would be the last thing you expect, probably.
I'm thumbing through Rocket Ranger here to see if there's a pet.
No, it wouldn't be the original Miss.
Sounds
right?
good.
No.
Miss Fury had. Oh, because Catwoman's got cats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
do they have names? All right, Roland, you got to tell us.
Lita Ford.
Oh, okay.
What? You did a Lita Ford today? I don't think we've talked about this. Roland Mann wrote a Lita Ford comic?
Yeah, we did. You and I talked about it.
No, probably we're talking about the Koenig book.
So, Lita Ford had a pet named Chili Dog. She had Lita really had a pet named Chili Dog. And when we did her comic, she said she wanted, of course, so I wrote the comic, but the concept was Lita's. She's like, here's what I want the story to be. I want this to happen. I want this to happen, blah, 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 blah. So she gave me the concept, and I took that and wrote the script. Chili Dog had superpowers in the book. Sort of Lita, but she and Chili Dog took on the PMRC. And, of course, this was early 90s. So, but yeah, Chili Dog.
I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was adopted, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
I'm trying to track down a copy right now on eBay. So.
To my knowledge, that's the only time I've written a pet.
Well, again, what purpose do they serve except for to have the character talk to somebody when they're by themselves?
Well, that was my next question: is what role do pets play in comic bookdom?
See, in a movie, a pet is sometimes necessary so the character has someone else to talk to when they're by themselves.
Mhm.
But with comics, with thought balloons, we can kind of get around it. We really don't have that need for the character to have another character to interact with in those scenes, because that's the beauty of comics. It's better than movies in that respect. But again, it gives them something to have to save. If the pet's in danger, or in the case with John Wick, something that can die to motivate them to go on a vengeance killing spree. Things like that. I don't know. There is an advantage to having it though. Like, well, I have to make sure my character has a pet. I mean, am I wrong? I mean,
yeah, I think it does soften the character. I mean, and I guess there was a point in time where that's kind of something makes the character more relatable. But nowadays, I think ever since Dark Knight Returns in that era, it's like you don't want your character so soft. You want them hard and vengeful.
Yeah.
That kind of ended that whole thing. So.
Well, okay. A show of hands here. Who has pets? Yeah. See,
do you have a pet roll?
I don't. Not now. I have had in the past, right?
That's why Roland's not considered soft. See,
yeah. The ultimate picture of Roland is hard, right? No, we have in the past. We've had dogs, we've had cats. Where we live right now, they don't allow pets. So, or we would have one because we like them. Like I said, we've had dogs and cats. But I think I did that because I think that's a kind of a picture of society, certainly Western society, is that most people have pets now of some kind, and so I think that if you can add that into the story, then it does make you and your relationship with your pet relatable, right?
Yeah.
But what role do they play other than making a protag relatable? Anything? Martin, you already said somebody to talk to, which I think is important.
Right. Yeah. But again, with thought balloons, you can get around that. I would say, for especially back when they first introduced the concept of it, it made probably the characters more relatable to children, because you can make a character more relatable to an adult by giving him or her a spouse or a significant other. But for kids, without a parental figure to relate to, a pet is something they can relate to connect with the character. I don't know, man. It's a plot device. It can always be a plot device. Where's my dog? My dog got out. Actually, you know what? I just happened to think. Live action Marvel Pizza Dog from the Hawkeye series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. Very good point.
And that was in the actual show, it didn't have that big of a part, but it did help, transition things, keep the story. We got to get back to feed the dog, giving them a reason to head back to the apartment and things like that. So he was a plot device, and it was kind of cute with the one eye and eating the pizza. Don't feed your dog pizza. That's not good for your dog.
My dog loves pizza.
Really?
My dogs love cheese. I'm like, I can't give him too much or it becomes a problem.
Yeah, right. It's a problem for everybody, I think. Too much cheese.
But I think you can have characters that are not relatable to the other human characters in the story, and then you can kind of show their softer side through the pet in that way too, because you have some people that they just don't relate to other human beings, but for some reason there's that connection with the pet, and that happens a lot, So
there's other characters, the pet dinosaur.
Oh, Devil Dinosaur, Moon Boy.
Is it Moon Boy?
Moon Boy.
I thought it was a girl.
Well, there's Moon Girl now, but also the Runaways has a pet dinosaur too.
Dinosaur, that's right.
That was on TV as well. Yeah, my daughter just watched that show.
One of my it's not a pet, but one of my favorite uses of an animal in comic books was cows. Are you ever familiar with the book called Squirrel Kill Crew that came out in the 90s? It was really cool.
Yeah, it was a Marvel book, wasn't it?
A Marvel book, and the idea is that when the Fantastic Four beat the Skrulls and they had the Skrulls transform into cows.
That's right.
So those cows went to a farm. They got butchered into hamburger meat, and the human beings ate the hamburger meat, and they ended up getting the abilities of the Skrull through the hamburger meat. And basically they had like only so many years to live before they would die because of these superpowers. And so they just went on this killing spree of all the Skrulls
Yeah, that came into play with Secret Invasion, I think, actually.
I think
Probably.
so.
When they did that event, yeah.
Yeah. It was a really clever story that kind of
Yeah.
built upon that.
And it was like what, Fantastic Four 15 or whatever, whenever they turned him in, maybe even before that, where they turned him into a cow. So I was digging deep in the chronology.
Yeah, I really thought that was a
So, you know where that's from, though, right, Curtis?
Wait, what do you mean?
Marvel Comics?
No. You know where that comes from. I'm finding it. Hold on.
Scroll Kill Crew?
No. So I'm not familiar with that book.
Yeah.
But what I am familiar with is the Avengers in the Kree Skrull War around Avengers number 90.
Uh-huh.
Vision was flying by, and this happened. Vision says, I suddenly passed through the gates of hell, and these 3 cows shot him down. So the cover, if I'm trying to find the cover, he comes running into the Avengers, and he says, 3 cows shot me down. One of the funniest times of all the Avengers stories.
That is so cool.
And they were the Skrull cows?
Oh wait, whoa, here we go. They were Skrull cows, yeah. And I think that was the case, because I do think the Fantastic Four had somehow made the Skrulls turn into turn into cows.
Yeah.
And then Vision stumbles upon them,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to find that issue because I can't remember.
I'm looking at Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch here, whose nursemaid was a half human, half cow.
That's
when
right.
they were children. Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a John Byrne story.
Was that where they introduced the cow with the John Byrne?
Uh-huh.
When he was doing West Coast or whatever? Or before that?
I think it was before that.
I loved his West Coast Avengers run. People are hot and cold on it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, he did about a year's worth of Avengers before going on to the West Coast.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm still in my cover browser here.
No worries, do your thing. I could talk all about John Byrne all day. So
yeah.
Maybe it wasn't on the cover. Maybe it was on the splash page, because I'm looking at all of these covers around that time.
I looked. The Skrull Kill Crew first appeared in '95.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, that was, and they did a riff off of that popular cover where they had a guy pointing a gun at the Skrull's head in the first issue, like, buy this comic or we kill this Skrull.
Oh,
yep,
yeah,
was right. I just pulled it up. Yep, right there.
Yeah. It's kind of fun.
The big boot standing on his back of his head. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, it's a great idea for a book.
Avengers, what issues this is?
That was something called Marvel Edge. What was Marvel Edge?
It was a line that they did.
Oh,
It's more gritty, I guess.
I guess so. It's Kill Crew. So yeah. I'm not familiar with Marvel Edge. I have to look into. I keep finding these Marvel imprints, like these UK imprints and stuff I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
But anywho,
Yeah.
Roland's just sliding down memory lane there with his
Well, yeah. The funny thing about it is, I think it's from issue 93, and issue 93 is the only comic I have. It's a British edition.
Oh.
That's not it. That must be the next page. That's page 1. So let me see page 2.
What are you looking at? Are you going through Comixology? What are you looking at there? We'll just call it something we shouldn't talk about on here.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm not finding it. Anyway, it was from around Avengers number 93, 94, 95. That whole Kree Skrull war that
sure,
that Neil Adams drew. But I can't find it exactly. I do know that they reprinted the collection cover actually had Vision on it saying 3 cows shot me down.
Yeah, when I first got into comics as a kid, back at, I want to say when I really got into collecting comics, was about 1982, and it was the Kree Skrull War and the Dark Phoenix saga were like, you got to read them. Those are the quintessential stories you have to read. And I remember finding the Dark Phoenix books for X-Men in the back issue bins. They're like $3 or $4 each, and I was like, I ain't paying that. Never gonna pay $4 for a comic. Now when I can pay 60 cents, I get a bunch of new ones for the price of that one.
Yeah,
and that's why I still don't own it to this day. You found the cover. Let's see it.
I found the cover, but it is from. Let's see here.
Mystery solved?
I don't know if it's quite the mystery solved, but at least I have found it. Let me see if I can blow it up some here. Scroll in.
Did you say
oh, I still share. Scroll in, yeah. Share this window. That one right there. Okay, right.
Oh, that's great.
That's a reprint. That's a splash page, isn't it? Or what is that? The cover? No,
that's the cover. But it is a cover of the reprinted edition, collection.
That's gorgeous.
3 cows shot me down. I mean, how funny is that, though?
One balloon for each word, too, just for dramatic.
3 cows shot me down.
Suddenly, Vision becomes William Shatner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's the Kree Skrull War. Mm-hmm. So I think he uses that line somewhere in the comic, and maybe my memory is I don't remember exactly what where it was from, but yeah, he does. He gets shot down by cows, and those cows just happen to be Skrulls.
Yeah. Thinking about comics in that time, and Marvel particularly, is Herbie a pet? He's a robot, but is he a pet?
Mm.
Oh yeah, I probably is.
I mean, in the cartoon, he filled in for the Human Torch,
right?
But in the comics, he was just kind of there,
I guess the question would be, can a robot be a pet?
Of course.
There you go.
So yeah,
there's your answer.
There you go. So what are to keep this pet conversation moving along here? What do you think are some of the best and worst things that you can do if your character has a pet? Best and worst thing, obviously, with the pet.
You can't kill the pet.
Can't kill the pet.
No, that's not okay. Even John Wick, I drew the line. That stuff's not on. It's not on. You don't kill the animal.
Well,
I don't think even the Red Skull would kill the animal.
Not necessarily kill, but you could really soften your character and put him through the ringer by a pet dying of natural causes. Because I don't know about you guys, if you had more than when that pet dies, that's a rough one,
Oh yeah. Well, what about Yeller, right? Yeller's that's a tough movie.
Yeah. Oh my god! I showed that to my son when he was like 8, and we were both just like,
yeah, right. I know.
My wife won't let me show it to my daughter. She refused to let me show it to my daughter.
Brittany still is angry at me. She's like, "You shouldn't have shown that to me."
What's wrong with
you? Yeah. When our cat died, before we moved here, I mean, we had a big, I say a big. We had us a little service, and we buried the cat in the backyard, and I lived in Mississippi, Pete. I don't know. Yeah, Pete. I don't know. What do you do if you live in a city? What do you do with your dead pet?
Beat it.
Wow. Thanks for joining us on Sunday, everybody.
Oh, what's not?
No, you I don't know, you bury it, don't you?
Oh,
we're not monsters in this city. Just because we're not monsters.
I'm not aware.
What do you do with your
hang from the windows?
We eat it. So where do you bury your pet?
In the garden.
Or you let the vet will cremate it for you if you want to.
Yeah, we had.
I suppose if you don't have a garden, what do you do with it? I don't know. You just go out late at night and dig up the local park.
Yeah, that's all I was asking. Is like, if you live in a city, where would you put one? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah. Well, like we lost our cat a little over a year ago, and they had like the whole at the vet. We had to put him down, so they had the whole thing laid out. Like we can have this whole box we can put him in, and yada yada yada, and we just kind of opted for them to kind of
That's what I've always done. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems kind of harsh, but it's kind of one of those things, So.
Well, my thing was like when my favorite dog Chester died, it was like, well, if I bury it, I don't live in that house anymore. Would I have to exhume the body and transport it to my new house, or do I leave it behind?
Yeah.
That's always a thing. And then luckily this was a brand new home. I'd hate to go digging in the backyard to plant a tree and find somebody's dead Labrador or something back there, or their dead wife, whatever.
Martin lives completely different lives than the rest of us, right?
That's what we learned.
Yeah, I don't think I could. I've never done that. I've always let the vet just take care of it, because again, it's like my mother-in-law passed away and we have her ashes in a box.
Yeah. Did you bury her in the backyard?
No, but it's sitting on a shelf in the office downstairs, and I'm like, are we just when we sell this house, we're gonna move? And it's a weird thing. What do you do?
Yeah, my dad's side of the family is Buddhist, so it goes on for a long time afterwards. You have like 3 or 4 funerals after the first funeral, right? Because you're trying to. The idea is they're ascending to the next level of the afterlife. So you have to have different services, and then you have an altar, for the dead ancestors, and sometimes the urn's there, and you have to give it food and ring a bell and all stuff. So yeah, it's a process,
Wow.
Definitely.
Yeah. That's not done for pets, right?
No, not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. But yeah, the keeping the ashes and all that. It's a thing, So
yeah, it is.
Oh, that's got dark, Roland. Thanks. God.
Well, it's funny because when my mother-in-law passed away, she was cremated, and we had to transport her. We could have paid, but it was a lot of money, and we literally rode with her in the back seat, and that was weird. That was really weird.
Well, my mother-in-law always wanted to go to Alaska, and she never got to. And we discussed bringing her ashes with us when we went to Alaska and distributing them. I'm like, my wife's Bethany. I'm like, Bethany, it's not just ashes in there. There's going to be stuff in there you're not going to want to see, because the whole body doesn't cremate. Like teeth and bone piece fragments are in there. And so we just kind of tossed one of her favorite collectibles into the ocean or the water in Alaska. But it's like, yeah, you can't just dump the ashes out like you see in the movies where it's just this little fine powder. That's not what's in that box.
No. I saw a video from a family at a pier, and they didn't think about the wind.
Oh God!
And you know where I'm going. And they went, and it all blew back on all of them, and they're like,
hey, Grandma will always be with you now.
Exactly.
It was
awkward.
It was nasty. Yeah. It's funny because with this my dad talks about it. He said, just spread me on his farm, because my dad's got like 300 acres. He's like, just spread me out on the farm. He goes, that's where I like to be anyway. He said, just spread me out there.
Yeah.
But a lot of our pets from the back of the day were buried on my dad's farm, because there's so much land there. You just pick a spot under the trees, and
that's still in the family though, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. See, farms tend to stay. Like my wife's family has a farm they've had for almost like 100 years. So it obviously that'll stay in the family. But
my dad just got his 100-year plaque recognition from the state of Arkansas. So
very nice.
It's considered a historic family farm now, I think.
That's
cool. So now the IRS can't take it from you. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. He actually went down to the state capitol and met the governor. The governor shook his hand and handed him this great big, looks like looks like a parking sign kind of, but it's like man family farm, historic, established 1904, something like that.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, very, very, very cool.
Definitely.
So, and pets.
That's pets. Yeah. So you can't kill them. I don't know. Pete, you probably haven't known me long enough. I don't know that I 100% agree with that, just because.
Oh, look, I know it's a very good motivator.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. If it works for the story.
Oh, kill a person instead. There's loads of them, and no one likes them.
Again, if you want your villain to seem evil, have them kill the pet. There's the second to the last Rambo film. The villain is shooting up the village, and they're killing babies. And like you see a baby get killed, the woman's carrying a baby, and then it cuts to the bad guy with his big silver glasses going, hey. And like Rambo is going to kill you good. He cut him in half with a machine gun. Rambo killed him good, because that's how you know this guy is pure evil, because he'll kill a baby or kill a dog. That guy's got to die.
Don't kill the doggy.
There's no redemption. Yeah, rather the baby than the dog, to be honest. But there's no redemption from the guy that kills the dog. There's no. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's why I don't tend to watch films about dogs. I'm like, no, because the dog's going to die at the end. I don't want to see that.
That's true.
I know. We went and saw Marley and Me and forgot that rule. Like, oh crap.
There's a new one about a dog that we want to go see.
There's a film at the moment called Dog with Channing Tatum.
Yeah, it's like a service dog.
Yeah, where he has to deliver the dog across country.
I don't know. I just know the dog's something's going to happen to the dog. And then there was a film with Harrison Ford and the dog. I'm like, no, I'm not watching that.
I watched that one. Yeah.
I didn't see that one.
Wait,
was it Chewbacca? That's not a dog.
Yeah.
Yes, Chewbacca pet.
He doesn't really speak. I mean,
we want to see the Channing Tatum one. That one looks funny. I don't think the dog is going to die in that one.
You didn't think the dog was going to die in Turner and Hooch either, but
yeah. So I think that was probably the first film I remember, Turner and Hooch, where the dog was and the dog got shot at the end. No, don't kill the dog.
It was a lighthearted comedy until that point, right?
I've got no problem if you kill all the people, so long as the dog walks away at the end and he's happy. That's fine.
Dog walked into the sunset, right?
Because dogs don't know no better,
I don't want the dog to be sad. The dog can be happy.
Yeah.
As long as he finds a new home and someone else look after him, then it's okay.
There you go.
Cerebus should have had a pet.
You think?
That's what would have, because he was Cerebus the aardvark.
Yeah.
He should have had a pet.
Like a human?
Well, you know what? We're talking about dogs. I've got quite a bit right in front of me about pets.
You got what? What now?
Have you seen Stray Dogs?
Stray Dogs. Yeah. Oh, is that any good?
I haven't read it yet, but I've been told it's really good.
Who's that from? Is that from Image?
Or
is that Boom Image, or something?
Yeah.
Okay, Image.
I've been told the guys at Comic Store said, no, you got to read this. It's really good. So I ordered the trade paperback.
Yeah.
There was a dog book from Dark Horse. I can't think of the name now, but it was dogs like solving supernatural mysteries. It was like Stranger Things, but it was it was told from this group of dogs that kind of lived in the woods and would solve these supernatural. I can't think of the name.
Didn't Grant Morrison do a book about dogs with cybernetic implants being used for We 3? Was it called We 3?
I'd read that. That sounds fun.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, again, if you have a dog as a sidekick, you can just for fun switch it up and tell the story from the pet's point of view as opposed to the main character's point of view.
That's what they did with Hawkeye, wasn't it? That there's the issue of Hawkeye was from the dog's point of view, and that's why the dog made it into the TV show. So,
Interesting. I haven't read that, so I'll keep my mouth on what I was about to say.
That was Matt Fraction, right? Did that one?
Matt Fraction, yeah.
They
just basically took that comic book run and then turned it into. I think they turned it into a TV program.
It's similar.
Like the guys in the tracksuits. I've not seen the show yet, but
it's not the same story, but it's very similar in tone to that.
The show is good. I haven't read the comic, but the show was good.
I read parts of the comic, but it's like I said, it's similar in tone, but not the same story.
I liked it better. I liked it better than WandaVision.
It was my favorite Marvel.
I liked WandaVision.
I liked WandaVision too, but
I mean, I liked it, but I didn't think it was great. Vision's one of my favorite Marvel heroes, right? And I didn't love.
WandaVision dipped deep into John Byrne's West Coast run with the White Vision and the making the children out of thin air.
Yeah.
So I mean, so I have to love it because I love John Byrne. He does know.
I walked in the comic shop the next week and they've got all these West Coast Avengers issues up on the wall.
For quite a bit of money, right?
Who's buying West Coast Avengers? At this price.
Yeah, I know.
The TV show.
Yeah.
I've liked the Marvel shows. I think they've been okay. I do think Hawkeye was the most enjoyable out of all of them. I really wanted to see what happened every next episode.
I think my favorite was Winter Soldier and Falcon Winter Soldier.
You know what? I thought that was great. Yeah. I thought that the two main characters were fabulous together. Yeah, but knowing the behind the scenes that they had, that there was a whole pandemic subplot they had to cut out of and knowing that was there when I'm watching it, where all the cuts were, and all the different things.
Yeah.
Like if you watch it, a lot of the dialogue is delivered like Falcon will start talking, and the camera will cut to the other character listening to him because they rewrote all the dialogue.
Oh, right. I didn't know that.
The enhanced people we're going to unleash a pandemic or an epidemic on society.
All right.
That makes sense because it seemed kind of convoluted their plot
Right.
and the bad guy's story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my favorite scene in that was when they had Falcon and Winter Soldier tossing the shield back and forth.
Great scene. Yeah.
It was a great scene because it was a way to bring Steve Rogers in there without bringing Steve Rogers in there, and to really show the whole dynamic between the two of them. Great scene. I love it.
I think that was a reshoot because if you actually watch the show, he actually learns how to use the shield before that, and then he's learning how to use it again when Bucky's there with him. So it's kind of this that they wanted a scene where they were passing the shield back, which was great. I love all the scenes with. I thought what's the guy who plays Bucky's Sebastian? So I thought he was fabulous in that, much better than he was in the movies. I thought he was so good in that show.
Yeah. So that's been my favorite, and then I think Hawkeye's been my second favorite.
Yeah. Anybody excited about Moon Knight, or is this?
I am. I'm looking forward to that.
This is the first one that doesn't have a character coming from the movies into the show. This is the first all new character they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about it because I don't like his costume.
Oh, really?
I just looks like the mummy.
Well, I like that they got the cape. Like there's the scene where in the trailer where he's jumping, they got the cape to have that crescent moon shape. So that that kind of
last shot, right? Yeah.
I mean, let me be clear. I'm going to watch it. Right?
all pizza is good pizza. Just some okay pizza,
right?
Great pizza.
So I mean, depending on how good it is, if I continue to watch it, but I'm absolutely going to watch it. But I'm nervous about it just because I don't like that. I like his sleek white costume. He looks like the mummy, and I don't like that.
They want to. You got it's for the cinema. It has to look.
I know, but
I don't. Tights. No one.
I get it, but I ain't gotta like it.
I just still remember Dolph Lundgren's Punisher, where they were afraid to put a skull on his chest.
On his knife, a little skull on his knife.
His knife. So anything above that, I'm pretty good with these days.
I forget about that movie. Yeah. I was Louis Gossett Jr. too, right?
Yeah. But Moon Knight should be cool. Hopefully.
I hope so.
But that first run of Moon Knight was so good.
I've never read it. I never got into Moon Knight.
Do yourself a favor and read it. I know they made a lot of changes to Moon Knight over the years, and I don't know what they are. I hear people talk about it. I'm like, well, that doesn't sound like the Moon Knight that I remember. But he had 3 personalities, and it was really, really good, really good stuff.
I remember that. I have the first issue. Well, I think it's the first issue where it's Mark Spector and the 2 other characters in Moon Knight. Yeah. Somewhere in my collection. I've never read it though. I just had to.
Was that Doug Minch? Who was the writer?
Don't remember. We got the internet here. I mean, I would love to read it, but I have like 50 Silverline books I haven't read yet. And all these 1990 Roland Man comics I have to read still.
You gotta stop looking in the dollar boxes.
I want to read the whole. Dude, I want to be the guy with all the Roland Man comics. Don't laugh. I'm serious. I'm going to do it. I have to find that Lita Ford comic.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it on eBay.
You can't find it on eBay?
Well, I kept finding there's another Lita Ford comic on eBay, Rock and Roll Biographies. I didn't dig too far.
No, you don't want that one, dude. No. I pull it up on eBay all the time in my class. So I had a student this month who mentioned something to me. They said, "So I found one of your comics. Did you do that?" You don't want to give eBay prices on it. I'm looking. I'm seeing it now.
Did you found it?
Yeah.
So I put in Lita Ford and it gave me this Rock and Roll Biography. So I just gave up.
This one is $39.99. You do not want to spend that on this comic. Trust me.
Don't say that. I want whatever I have to. I gotta complete the collection.
The problem with the Lita Ford comic and finding it in the dollar boxes is it's oversized.
Oh no, I hate that. I'll never own it. Sorry,
it's a magazine. It's a magazine size.
Why'd you do that? Oh, there it is. I thought it for $17.99.
There's one for $18. There's one for
17. Yep, 99. Yeah. Yep. Whoa, she's got it all hanging on that cover, doesn't she?
Oh yeah.
Jim Ballant, I think, did that.
Jim Ballant did the artwork.
It says right there, Jim Ballant. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, he sure did.
Is he in Florida?
Not that I know of.
I used to see him at MegaCon all the time.
I don't know the answer to that, but I'm not sure. This one's signed by me.
Well, I don't want that. I want to get it signed myself. That's it.
I look at every time I see that, I gotta go look. I'm like, is that my
signature? Was it polybag? I just found a polybag version.
The polybag came with a pick, a Lita Ford pick.
Oh, good. Did she sign it, or is it just
no? It's just one of her picks. It has Lita Ford on.
Dude, the dog is on the cover. Is it a dachshund?
Yep.
I have dachshunds. Oh.
Now you got to get it right. Chili dog's on there. Yeah. It was a fun book.
Wait, this says Rocket Comics. What's that?
It is Rocket Comics. It was a brand, a line of comics done by Malibu. They did Lita, Ozzy, Black Sabbath, Pantera.
What do you think about
Carlos Santana? That's right.
Yeah. What do you think about sub brands for comic companies?
A comic company here in Florida is doing that, and
I know.
I don't think that's a good idea when you're that small.
I agree.
When you're a big monstrosity like Marvel and DC, it makes sense.
It helps with marketing.
They publish 120 books a month.
Right.
When you're a small company that does, maybe 10. I don't even think they do that much, do they? Yeah,
that company with they do about 10 a month, maybe 5. Yeah. That one you're talking about, with their 3 different brands they have.
Yeah, and I just think that's a mistake because they water down their brand.
I can talk about their brand being watered down.
Let's don't talk about that.
Let's talk about the awesome Silverline brand, which has its remix sub brand. Yeah.
That's true.
Yep. You could call it a sub brand, but it's still familiar. If you put the remix and the regular books to side by side, you can still tell they're Silverline books, right?
All my Silverline books over there. I'd go get them, but I have to get off the thing. So.
It's just got the instead of where the 0 is for the number, it has the X for remix.
For dirty. Oh, for remix. Right.
No, it only has 1 X, not 3.
Oh, okay. We're not going to sell it if you don't put 3 X's on it. But here's a real quick, just to jump back to pets. I pulled this up. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, the cartoon, had its own pet that I don't think it's a comic character, Miss Lion.
Oh, that's right.
Remember Firestar had, I think it was Firestar. Somebody had a Miss Lion was their little pet they had.
I don't remember that.
It was a dog. It was a little dog. Yeah. Yeah, and that was used for comic relief pretty much solely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Lion would trip over something or bite the wrong thing or find the bad guy hiding behind the drapes.
Well, that's right. Wasn't Firestar basically a replacement for the Human Torch for some reason?
Sort of. I think it was, hey, we can't have 3 dudes living together in an apartment, so we got to have put Firestar in there, who pretty much has the exact. I mean, then they brought her to the comics.
Yeah.
And she was great. There was the Heroes Return story when George Perez was drawing the Avengers. She had a great storyline where her superpowers were giving her cancer or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they were microwave fueled powers or something. And that was a great. I think that all got dropped, of course. But the I
didn't realize there had been 9 volumes of Moon Knight.
Oh, he's out all the time. Yeah, he's doing like 3-4 issues at a time.
Yeah, I mean, so what does that say about the characters? There's no longevity. Wait
a second. Spider-Man is on volume 6 right now. That's relaunching like in 2 months. So that just tells you Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man is launching volume 6 in 2 months with the new number 1.
Wow. Well, they are John Romita Jr.'s back, isn't it? Yeah,
that's why.
John Romita Jr. There you go.
But it's like,
who's writing it?
I don't know, and it's not. I can look it up.
I can say, so people say things to me. Hey, as a writer, you probably only buy because of writers. I'm like, nope, that's not true, because I was gonna, and I won't say it. I won't broadcast it. But there was an artist, one of my favorite artists, who was drawing the Avengers not too long ago, and I'm like, oh man, I want to go buy that. But when I saw the writer, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to buy this.
The Spider-Man's Nick Spencer. I don't know much about Nick Spencer.
Okay. I don't either.
It's not Dan Slott.
But I love John Romita Jr.
Oh no, wait, Nick Spencer was the last one. Hold on a second. That was the last run, 2022. Let's see what we got. John Romita Jr. Trying to pull it up right now. Publisher, superhero, #1 with 4,000 covers, of course.
Yeah.
Zeb Wells. Zeb Wells is writing the new Spider-Man book. Sorry about that.
I don't even know who that is.
He did some stuff. He's done some stuff at Marvel
stuff,
for a while. Yeah. What has he done? Some stuff. Yeah.
Some stuff. I can tell you what he does. Yeah, he's done some stuff.
Yeah. That's gonna look great on the tombstone, right? Zeb Wells. He wrote some stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, I'm sorry. No offense meant. I don't know you.
But the funny thing is about this being Spider-Man Volume 6, it's like the 6th volume. Well, technically it'd be the I guess the 5th volume since in the last like 15 years. That's it. Because it started with when Byrne redid it with Spider-Man Chapter 1, and then when Dan Slott took over, they redid it. Or actually, I think they redid it when J.M. Straczynski took over. They relaunched it with the new #1. So this is just it's a constant mess to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think they do it because, like you said, sales deplete of every issue, don't they? So put another #1 out, and it bumps the sales again.
Well, I have some friends who are small press publisher, Blue Juice Comics, and they published a book. It's a time travel book. I can't remember the name of it. And I think they did like 24 issues, but every 6th issue, it would in the catalog, it says as a new #1.
Yeah.
When the book would come out, it would still say issue 7. And then they do a #1, and it would say, like, even though the solicit says #1, the book's never reflected that on the number.
So here's the problem with that. I think that could make it completely returnable. I think.
Really?
If you solicit something that doesn't end up, I think that makes it completely returnable. CubeTube, hey Quentin, what's up, Quentin? Quentin says hello, all. Good to see you, Curtis, Pete, Martin, and Roland. Quentin, good to see you join us, sir. We're just getting ready to wrap up about comic book pets.
I will say this though, Roland, about what we were just talking about the returnability. I think a lot of those old rules have gone to the wayside. Like your minimums, Diamond doesn't hold you to those anymore.
I mean, that's probably good because how many comics would they actually ship?
Yeah, Scout couldn't have any books in the catalog if they set
yeah, right. Well, and that's the problem is that a lot of these publishers would get 1 or 2 books, and then they would just fall off if they were held to the minimums.
I thought they used to have like a minimum of 20,000 or something ridiculous.
I was told the minimum wasn't the amount of books; it was the amount of money it generates.
I don't remember that ever being I'm not saying no, Pete. I don't remember that ever being that seems like sounds like an outrageous amount.
Well, 20,000.
Yeah.
After the top 50, nothing would be even Marvel would lose books.
I look at the previews catalog every month, so I order my books. I'm like,
I argue,
how many books are they going to sell to be in previews?
Yeah. So, do you ever look at the sales figures, Pete? On they don't really show them much anymore. Kind of with the breakup of Diamond, now that you've got Diamond and Lunar, and so we don't really get really good accurate numbers. But there's a couple of websites that kind of track numbers based on sales through Diamond.
Yeah, John Jackson Miller's site.
Jackson Miller, yeah.
His site used to be perfect with numbers until the breakup.
Yes, and that's where I would always go, and you could see, and that's where if you, and don't go there, Pete, because unless you want to be really depressed, because you'll go there and go, wait a minute, what? This book sold how many copies? Oh no, and you'll just start crying.
But now I've heard a lot of things like Marvel, even though the book only shows it sold 50,000 units, they've sold another 50,000 directly to shops doing special variant covers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I hear things like that, but the other thing I hear too is that they're selling to bookstores. And they're bypassing Diamond. Diamond says, "Hey,
now they bypass it altogether." So
yeah, so I mean, they go straight to But here's the problem: when's the last time you walked in a bookstore?
Yeah,
bookstores don't really exist. I get we have the online.
I do. I go to Barnes and Noble every now and then.
I go to a bookstore, but I do not go there for comic books. And I feel like if I'm buying a comic book from a bookstore, then I've cheated my comic book store.
Well, now, but here's the thing: my daughter loves the webcomic Lore Olympus. and they've put it out in a collected edition right at Christmas time. I couldn't find a copy at my comic shop anywhere. I actually, for Valentine's Day, had to call Barnes and Noble and had them pull a copy for me, and had to drive way across town to go pick it up because they had it, nobody else did.
Yeah, I understand if your comic shop doesn't have it, then you've got no option. But I just feel like, oh, look, they've got a collected version of. Usually, I've got the books, but I'm like, I'd rather someone came in and said, oh, okay, I'll just go to the comic shop. There's a comic shop not far from here. Go and get it from them.
Well, do you guys all have
comic shops more expensive, but it's good.
Which is why Silverline loves Coliseum of Comics in Orlando, Florida, because if you walk into the Coliseum of Comics on East Colonial Drive, you will find Silverline Comics there.
Nice.
Very good.
Yep. So
nice plug.
No, that's great. Why just that one? Why not all of them, man? Get them in all the. They have
working on that. Working on that. One store at a time. And this one store has been incredibly good and generous to us. And the interesting thing. So I took White Devil and Twilight Grim to them when they came out, and the guy at the counter, I had never seen him before, but I met him, and he goes, "Oh, Silverline, yeah, I just sold a bunch of your books yesterday." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And
restock.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. Tell me something I don't know.
But real quick, that just got me thinking. I was talking to the guy who owns Silverline, or not Silverline. The guy who owns Coliseum is Phil Boyle. And I was talking to him right around Thanksgiving time, and he gave me a phrase I'd never heard before. And he said, "There's not enough in comics nowadays parking lot books." I'm like, "What are you talking about? What's a parking lot book, Phil?" He says it's a book that you have to read it so badly that the moment you walk out of the store, you're reading it in the parking lot as you're walking out. He says Teen Titans and X-Men used to be like that. Like people had to know what happened next. And that really got me thinking of that mindset of writing my books in such a way that you have to buy the next issue. Yeah. Or you just can't live with yourself. Yeah. And that got my gears going again about trying to really focus on that cliffhanger. Where is the dog dead or not? Find out next issue. It brought it back around.
Yeah. No, I mean, anybody who's read any of my stuff know that I absolutely love cliffhangers. When you're going to tell a multi-part,
it makes, if you've got a monthly format, it makes sense to put a cliffhanger, because otherwise they're like, oh, it's finished, I won't worry about it.
Right? I don't need the next one.
We're good.
But that's also the Kickstarter thing with the delay between issues. Is a cliffhanger a good idea? And you want to come back to your next Kickstarter, but you also want them to feel like they got a good product for $8, or I'm not sure they're charging per comic.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
you can do a self-contained story though, and still have this is what happened next. Yeah. Any good comic will have a story in it, not just. And I'm just putting out there. It's like a lot of films now. You feel like, oh, they're just a prequel to the next film,
right?
Yeah. So just, I'm watching this just so I can watch the next one. So,
and that's irritating. Well, and I think a lot of people, I mean, correct me if you guys think that this is not the case, but I think a lot of people who back crowdfunders realize that, hey, I can probably get this cheaper if I wait till it comes through the comic shop, or if I see them at a convention, but I'm going to spend a little extra money because I know that I'm trying to help the creators get some money themselves, and I'm trying to help them get this product made. I know that I'm not going to get the next issue next month. It's going to be a couple of months before I get the next issue, and I'm okay with that. I think most people, and not everybody, obviously, but I think most people who back crowdfunders kind of do so with that attitude.
I think so. And I think also, it comes from the top down, but your idea, Roland, that we never put a book out until it's essentially almost 90% or 100% done.
Yeah.
That instills a lot of confidence, and it's nothing innovative in terms of like technology or anything. Yeah. It's just kind of having transparency and a good rapport with the reader,
Yeah.
So I think that definitely gives us a little bit more ability to, have some lateral movement as far as storytelling and stuff like that. That isn't always the case.
Well, and the other thing I think it allows us to do. So if you got somebody who, and I see this particularly like on I know it happens on Kickstarter, but on Indiegogo, you see these folks run a campaign on Indiegogo, and then they start talking about the other stuff they're doing, but there's not a campaign for months and months and months and months and months. the advantage of having our books done is that we are able to run a Kickstarter, fulfill, boom, immediately run another one. Kickstarter, fulfill, another one. Kickstarter, fulfill. So we're able, we're going to get in 6 Kickstarters this year. So that's part of what allows us to do that, is that we can fulfill immediately and jump right into the next one.
Yeah. Well, same thing here. I mean, I just wrapped the Arthur Kickstarter, and here's everything ready to go. Yeah. I'm going to ship them out tomorrow or Tuesday, because my daughter's off school tomorrow. I forgot. What's tomorrow? But now here's the interesting thing. If you want to talk about speed, I don't know if we have time for this. There's a company called Comics Tribe, and they have a book called Happy Hill. And they issue one. I picked up at the comic shop for $3.50 or $3.99, $4. Mm-hmm. Issue 2 just wrapped its Kickstarter campaign. It's in the catalog for pre-order.
Wow.
And it's not. It's actually already on order for. It's going to be out this month. It was in the catalog 2 months ago. It's going to be out this month. So they're wrapping their Kickstarter using that money to print the books for Diamond.
That's interesting.
Those special covers you get in the Kickstarter that you can't get from Diamond. But that's a very interesting. I don't think it's this wise business model, because I'm never going to buy their Kickstarter knowing I can order it from my comic shop and get 10% off the cover price because it's on my pull list. Yeah. You know? So what would motivate me? But I don't care about collecting stupid variant covers.
I mean, clearly that's the motivating factor, is that you get the variant. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think they're doing it as an experiment, is what they're doing, to see if it works. And I'm curious to see how it works. I wish I could get those. I'm hoping to get those sales numbers to see because something's got to be cutting into something, right?
Yeah, you would think.
That one's got me fascinated. I want to see what happens with that. But anyways, that has nothing to do with pets. There's no pets in that story. And
I just peeked at the clock, and we are at the end of the stream. So, attitudes, times changed on your outlook of pets, comic book pets. Curtis, you going to put a pet in Shadow Ghost now?
Maybe. It depends on. That's going to be a stretch goal. That'll be a stretch goal. Like, we get this much money, we put a pet mouse, a cat, and then we work all the way up to
a pet cat and mouse. Wait a minute! Oh my god!
A cat and a pet mouse.
Yeah, the top tier is Irish Wolfhound. That's what's about as big as. Yeah, no, I think it's. I mean, I think there's a place for it. I think that place has changed. But I still think there's a place for it. So,
I agree.
Yeah.
But finding that place.
But it has made me think, though, maybe even if they're not an integral part of the story, do more of my characters need pets? Because that is kind of reflective of again, society in general. Do I need to give these? Do we need to put a dog or a cat in the background just to show, hey, this guy has a for Silverline Team Up number 2, does Woody need to own a dog?
Yeah,
I think we're killing all the people we need to kill in Silverline 2. I was just thinking about it, and it gets pretty dark. I don't think we should make it. I mean, if we killed, if we had an animal to kill, then people would just be like, "What's wrong with these people?"
That was my only comment from Pete after I sent him the script for number 2. He goes, "Well, that took a dark turn."
I would say trying to shoehorn a pet in is a bad decision, because you're shoehorning something into your plot or your story just because you're trying to tick a box. And I don't personally, as a writer, I don't believe in doing that. Everything should come naturally. Like if you're in a situation where a character needs somebody to talk to, maybe they do adopt a stray cat. Make it a stray so it can run away later. You don't have to worry about sticking around. But as far as trying to I need to
do the stray cat strut.
There you go. Or I've looked at the demographics, and people want us to have pets in our story. Like, did you ever see Scrooged, where he's like the TV producer's like, we need to have mice in the scene because cats. Our research shows that cats watch TV program, so make sure there's mice on the screen. It's like then you're just sacrificing art for the sake of putting a pet in it. I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, it is interesting to see, to think about how, we didn't come up with a very big list.
There's more we didn't talk about. I pulled up a bunch while we were talking.
Okay.
There's Gleek from the Wonder Twins. Beepo the Super Monkey. These are all things long forgotten.
I was going to say, let me repeat the question. Were there any worth mentioning?
No. Well, Gleek, I think Gleek the Super Monkey from the Wonder Twins when we were the Super Friends cartoon.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah, I would not have remembered the name, but I would have remembered the monkey.
Yeah, I think that's the only one that could. That's what I was saying. Gleek and the one from Amazing Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, the only ones that stick out from my youth, outside of Crypto, of course.
Yeah, Crypto. I guess Crypto's probably the most famous of all comic book pets. And I didn't read enough things like Harvey and Archie comics to really know. I read some, but it was never what really interested me as a reader. So I don't know. Maybe they had some, and I just don't remember them or not.
I'm sure.
All right. Well, let's call it a night. Martin, thank you for joining us. It was fun. Glad to have you here.
Hope I brought something to the table.
Do you have a let's see, Herman's Battle Cat Cringer?
Oh,
He-Man. He-Man. I read it. I put an R in there, didn't I? He-Man's Battle Cat.
Yeah, Herman's Battle Cat's a whole different topic. Yeah.
R2D2 is kind of a pet.
Yeah.
We talked about robots. Yeah. So Martin, I know you're doing a lot of shows. What's your next show? What's next?
My next show, Heidi's it has her book fair. It's the Read It, Write It book fair, book festival at the Boynton Beach Mall in South Florida. I'm going to be there this Saturday. And then the weekend after that, I'm going to be in Fort Myers for the Southwest Florida Con. And then that'll be 4 in a row. And I think it's time to hop off the road for a little while.
Wow. And your next Kickstarter will be?
My next Kickstarter is probably going to be Arthur Legend Continues Volume 2, Issue 1. That'll be the art's. I got one more page to do. So the art's almost done with that one. So that'll probably be hopefully March. I don't want to promise anything though. So hopefully March.
Yep. We know how that goes. Curtis, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Sure. So you can basically find all my social media through my 2 websites. You can go to www.theshadowghost.com. That's for the comic book, and www.tigercrane.net. That's my martial arts school, which is now doing online classes. So there you go.
And on all Monday evenings, you'll just find him roaming the streets, fighting anyone and all comers.
Looking for trouble.
Exactly.
But for $5 a pop, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what we call Monday nights.
4 feet or shorter. That's about all.
Pete, what about you? Where can folks find you on the interwebs?
On the Google, Peter Clinton Art. It'll take you to Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. My website. Yeah, it's all branded.
Excellent. And
what about you, Roland? Where can we find Roland?
I'm on a Kickstarter at the moment. Can I say that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
Zach's?
Zach, my friend Zach, and Dwarf Star Comics, they're doing a Kickstarter. It's 200 pages, and it's an anthology, and it's got, I think, 26 Cubit students and the odd teacher doing short stories. So that's on Kickstarter at the moment.
Now, and yours is with
Jose.
Jose, yeah.
Jose
Very
colored
cool.
mine, yeah.
Nice.
So it's looking pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with it. So I hope
you guys will check that out. You know that we love the Silverline here. We love the Kubert School. So, Yep. You can find me on the same places, on all the social media, Facebook, Instagram, as Roland Man. Some of it is Man Roland. I think that's what you can find me at on Twitter, I think. And obviously, we'll be here again next week. Don't forget, we have a Tuesday night stream, that Silverline show on Tuesday night that serves mostly the West Coast group. They are our time zone. They're like 11 to 1. And then Wednesday night, the Whammers will be here talking about, we've got what they're talking about. We've got actually, if I can find them real quick. Tuesday is Comics, the Crossroads of Nerd Culture. And Wednesday, I don't know what a Wednesday is, but they'll be here Wednesday night. And until next week, remember to.
I got my own.
Hey, look at that. Make mine,
mine
Silverline.
Silverline.
We'll see you next week.
Hey, I'm Alex Saviuk, and I just want to let you know, make mine Silverline.